Hello everyone, FlyOver here and welcome to the new video. And in today's video we are finally inside of the cockpit of the PMDG Boeing 737-700 and we are parked at the Innsbruck airport as we make the route in the last video, right? So let's take a look. We are parked in this gate here and we're gonna push back to this side and then taxi there and there and there, and then we're gonna turn and then we're gonna take off, and we're gonna take off to this side, fly between those two mountains. There is a valley there where we're gonna make teardrop, come back over the airport, come back and fly to Rottenberg waypoint. So that is our departure, and as you can see the weather is nice as it was in the right matter in the weather forecast. Weather is good, and what we're gonna do now is start our airplane from cold and dark. So first of all, what we need is ground power, and to start the ground power actually we first need to turn on the battery. So we're gonna turn on the battery, and then when battery is on we're gonna go down because now our FMC will become available. We're gonna go to ground services and request ground power. When ground power become available, we're gonna have, oh, there is already, and if we look outside we will see that is a trailer, small trailer with connected cable. That is our ground power. So we're gonna switch to the ground power and power up the aircraft so we don't waste our battery, right? After starting the battery, first thing what we're gonna do is arm the emergency exit lights. That is the first thing. And then in case it's cold you're gonna turn on windows heating, but in our case we don't need that at the moment. But what we need to do is align our IRS, so we're gonna turn them to align, actually to nav. That's it. And let's go back down to the FMC. Let's go to the position and let's go to position init, and we need to enter the coordinates of our position, and our airport is Innsbruck. So we're gonna enter the coordinates of the Innsbruck airport, and we're gonna go to the next page and we're gonna copy this GPS left and enter here. And now we will have aligned our system, right? Okay. What is next? We are now on ground power and we can stay for a while on ground power. What we gonna do is arm the seatbelt sign, which is important, right? We're gonna turn off the packs. Actually they are turned off already. We're gonna turn off the engine bleeds because we are going to turn on the APU, so we will need APU bleed, and we're gonna switch that to on at the moment. Let's go and check other switches. What else we need to do? Probe heating is on auto, that one can stay. Like I said, window heat we can turn on now or we can turn on later, doesn't matter. It will need to be turned on for the flight, but when you're on the ground you don't need to do. This is our hydraulic pumps and electrical things. everything need to be turned on. And that's it for now. We are not going to start APU yet. We can start it later. So we don't touch any of the lights at the moment. We don't need that. Let's go down to the FMC and let's enter the route. So let's click here. And we already have this one always stay in the scratchpad when you write. So we have our company route, which we downloaded from the SimBrief. So let's just put our destination and click on company route, and it is going to load that route for us. Of course, without departure and arrival. Route will never be loaded with departure and arrival. You need to put it by yourself. So let's just activate and let's enter the flight number. Okay. And let's go to departure. We know that we are departing from runway 26, and our departure is going to be RTT3 X-ray. So this is our departure. Okay, now we can go back to this page and we can enter our arrival. We know that we are landing on runway 34, and also our arrival will be Nima 1 Whiskey. So Nima 1 Whiskey, and transition will be Val 3 November. Remember? I mentioned that in the previous video. So now when we have everything set up, we can go back to the route and we can execute. So let's see now how it looks like on the flight plan. So what we're gonna do, we are going to switch this to plan. Maybe zoom out a little bit. Let's see like this. And now we can see when we click on the legs, we are here on the airport. Let's zoom in a bit so we can see better. And let's click on this button step. And then we can see how we're going to fly. Overfly the airport, right? We are flying to Rothenburg. And on Rothenburg we have discontinuity, which we just click on the next waypoint and then click up back. Just bring it up and that's it. So we can go Nimal, Nimdu, Limra, Barug. Okay, Balad, that is our transition, remember? And then we're going down and align with the ILS and up to the runway 34. So as you can see, our route is totally fine, looking good. So we can switch back from plan to map. So we can see our flight plan here. And for the takeoff, I like to keep it either on 5, either on 10 to have good view on the what is ahead. Okay, you can click on this button traffic and you're gonna get these arches. That is your distance, and as you zoom in, it will gonna change the value here, and you know approximately how far is the distance. But actually this is for our TCAS. Later when you turn it on, that you can see how far the traffic is from you. So it is important to stay on. Also, what we can do now is turn on our flight directors and also arm the auto throttle. Let's go back down to our FMC. Let's go to performance and init page, and what we have here is zero fuel weight. Now zero fuel weight we're gonna take from the operational flight plan, and the operational flight plan is here. Well, let me bring it here. So this is our SimBrief, and I just click to print view PDF, and we have our operational flight plan. So what we need is zero fuel weight, and we have it here. It's 47.2 let's say. So let's just enter here 47.9. That's it. It will automatically calculate our gross weight and CG, but before we do anything else, we're gonna go and actually enter our fuel, because at this moment default we have 11 tons of fuel, but we need less than that. And we're gonna see here block fuel is 5935, so I'm going to enter here 535, and that will be our fuel. And then return payload zero fuel weight of 47.9, and enter here, and it's going to distribute our cargo and passengers equally in the airplane. So that's it. Now we can go back to here, and what we can enter further is our reserve fuel. And where we're gonna see our reserve fuel is here. It's say FinRes and alternate, so it will calculate everything. This is our reserve, and our reserve is 2.5, so we're gonna enter here 2.5. Our cost index from the flight plan, you remember, is 12, so we're gonna enter cost index 12, and our cruise altitude will be 290, so flight level 290. That one you enter here. Cruise wind, that is the wind on cruise. Again, average wind 329/13, so 329/13, that is average wind. And transition altitude, we're gonna check on the charts. So let's just open the chart for our departure, and let's see, is there any transition altitude here? It should be. Transition altitude is 10,000 feet. Okay, so transition altitude is 10,000. That's it. We can execute that to confirm, and now we are going to N1 limit. Okay, now I'm going to use a calculator that is actually paid, but you can have free version of that calculator on your phone. There is mobile version that is totally free, and I'm going to give you a link down in the description. And what we actually need to do, this is the calculator that I'm going to use. This is our takeoff performance. So we are taking off from 26. There is no intersection. Condition is dry. Wind on the at this moment. Let's check again. What's the wind? Wind is 256.3 knots. So wind is 256.3 knots. Temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, and QNH is 1025. Okay, when we already know the QNH, we can also set up the QNH in the here. We click here between inches and hectopascals, so we click here, and like I said, 1025. That's it, 1025. Okay, let's go back to the calculator. Takeoff weight, our takeoff weight or gross weight, let's check it back on the FMC. Our takeoff weight is 53.9, so actually it's going to be 53,900, and that's it. And when we hit calculate, we're gonna get that we need to take off with flap 5. This is our takeoff speeds, and this is our selected temperature for derated takeoff. And that's it. Easy and simple. I will give you the link of this calculator. You can have it for free on your mobile device, but if you want it on your PC, you need to pay for it. Okay, so let me just enter that data into this. So like this, we have a selected temperature of 59. That's it. And we're gonna do 22k derate. Climb will be also derate 1. And let's go to the takeoff page. Flaps 5. This center of gravity and trim, you just click and it will copy for you, and it will calculate the trim 5.26. So you just look here and click here, and we need to wait until it scrolls past 5. So we cannot be super precise, but approximately 5.25 is going to be like this. Okay. Now regarding our V speeds, if they are different from the calculator 1 knot, you can use these speeds. If they are different more than 1 knot, then you need to use speeds from the calculator. And our first speed is matching, it's 118. Our second speed is actually 120, so we can use this one. And our V2 speed is 124 knots, here is 128, so I'm gonna say 124. That is it. And that will bring to the end setting up of FNC. One more thing we need to do is go to the forecast, and we need to set up our transition level for our destination. And the transition level for our destination is going to be, let me check on the chart, transition altitude is also 10,000 feet, so transition level will probably be 110. Where I'm seeing on the chart, on ILS chart, transition altitude right here. And transition level is usually given by ATC, but since we don't have ATC, we usually give 100 on that. 110. 10. Okay, that is transition level. Request winds, we can request that, and then we wait for a while, because remember that I save, when I do a SimBrief download, I saved wind uplinks. So actually if we request that and say load, it's gonna fill the whole page for us, and this is our winds for the whole flight. That's it. Also, what we need to enter here is QNH of our destination, and QNH of our destination is going to be, let me check, you can see it actually on the chart, on the operational flight plan. If you scroll down past the flight plan and the wind and everything, oh, too far, yeah, here. Okay, we have departure, we have destination, and QNH is 1022. So let's just enter 102. Let's clean the line. 1022, and you put here QNH of 1022 for our destination, and that's it. Click execute, and we are ready to go. So our FMC is now fully ready, and what we need is V2 speed 124 knots. We need to enter here plus 5, so 124 plus 5 will be 129, right? 129. We set that here, that will be our initial speed, and now already we should be able to arm VNAV and LNAV. Also, our altitude, we need to check on the charts actually what could be our initial altitude. So let's just check on the departure chart. And we know that we need to be up. Final altitude is 11,500. So what we going to set here is flight level 120, and that should be okay. That's it. Now we have set up our FMC. We have set up our autopilot. That is ready. We can now start the APU. So to start the APU, we are going to click on strobe and steady. It will turn on beacon and also turn on anti-collision light. It will turn on beacon, so everyone know that aircraft is about to start. So we are going to start our APU. Meanwhile, while we're waiting that APU to start, what we're going to do is pull our parking brake. Okay. And now we need to wait for the APU to start. Actually, there is a shortcut that you don't have to do all of this. Yes, there is a shortcut. So I will show you that in one separate video, how you can actually load the aircraft in the state that you just entered the flight plan. You have already turned on APU, IRS aligned and everything. It will save you some time if you don't want to go through all procedures every time. So while we're waiting for the APU to start, what we need to do is set up our cruise altitude and landing altitude into pressurization panel. So we have a cruise altitude of 29, is it 29,000 feet or 26? 29, okay. And our landing altitude, what is airport elevation here? Runway elevation is airport elevation 600 feet. So let's set up here 600 feet. We don't have 600, we have it's 2000 already, so 500 feet. That's the closest one. Okay, make sure that this is on auto always. Oh yes, my bad, I forget to turn on the fuel pump. This is the fuel pump that needs to be turned on in order for APU to start. So now when we start APU, now it's going to start. My bad, that's why we use checklist, of course. So fuel pump number 1, and then we can start the APU. And there you go. The needle will go all the way up and then it will return down, and then you will see here that lamp will be on when APU power will be available. It go all the way up and then go slowly down. My bad, I'm sorry. So start the fuel pump. On Airbus, actually, that one fly-by-wire is not quite well simulated, so you can start anything, even engine, without fuel pump. But this is PMDG, this is advanced simulation, and you cannot start anything without fuel pumps. That's a good thing, right? I mean, better simulation, right? So now we have APU generator off bus. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna click here and here to transfer all power to the APU so we can release the ground power. So we will turn it off, ground power is off. And what we need to do here now is go to the menu, FS actions, ground services. We can release ground power, and we can also remove the wheel chocks. When you remove the wheel chocks, you will see that also door will close. The cargo door, if they are open, they will close. And also this one outside, the stairs will move away. This is all from your aircraft PMDG, so everything will move away and it will be set up for departure. So what we need to do is we need to go to ground services and remove the wheel chocks. That's why we pull the parking brake. So we need to remove wheel chocks. And you will see now if I go to the doors, it will be closed. And also if I go, sorry, to another door, it's going to be closed. So yes, that's it. And if we go out, you will see that door is closed and the stairs are moving away. Okay, let's prepare our pushback. Let's pre-plan our pushback. I hope you already know how to do it. Wait until it load our okay, something like this, let's say. That sounds good to me. Press enter and we can actually let's check one more time everything, but I believe that we can already start our pushback. This is set, QNH is set, flight plan is inside. Okay, this one, packs are off, APU bleed is on. Okay, now we're going to put our beacon to on, so it's going to be on all the time. And what we need to do is actually call for the pushback. Let's request pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
See, it's coming. Now we wait until they connect everything, set up everything. So we need to wait for a while.
The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
The parking brakes are set. You may lift.
Parking brake set. Lifting the aircraft.
Okay, now they're gonna lift the aircraft. You will see that.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
And now release the parking brake. You can click here and release the parking brake, or you can click here.
Parking brakes are released.
And we don't need this anymore. Now to start the engine, we are going to put engine number 2 at ground. And we are looking here at N2 rotation. When it reaches 25, then we're gonna release the fuel. Okay, when it reaches 25, 23, 24, 25, we release the fuel, and then we monitor here on the upper screen how engine is actually starting. This is your fuel. I will make separate video where I'm going to tell you exactly what is what in the aircraft and what function it has. But you have to follow me now for this tutorial, just like that. I think it's super easy, and I think majority of that you already know. It's not that different from Airbus, but it is, depends how you look at. So we are waiting actually for our switch to turn off, and it is, so we can now start the second engine. We go back down and we waiting this engine to go to 25 again. Meanwhile, I'm going to open leg page on this and also init.ref page on this FMC because they are totally
Okay, pushback
independent.
completed. Please set your parking brake.
Pushback is completed.
Parking brake
Let's set
status.
parking brake. Our
Parking brake
fuel
set. Lowering
needs to
aircraft.
be released. Okay. I'm late a bit, but it's
Ground.
okay.
You may disconnect.
Okay, sir. Clear to disconnect. Pin has been removed.
Also,
See
we're
you at the
gonna
side. Have a good
turn
flight.
on the traffic here
Holding
at
position, waiting for the
the
visual.
flight
Thank you and
officer
goodbye.
seat. Pushback car will go. What next is to do is, okay, you heard that engine is clicked off, so we are now turn on the taxi light, and see, I forget again to turn on the fuel, but we managed to start engine, so that means it's not really that good simulation as I thought it's gonna be. And now we're gonna transfer the electricity to the engine, and we can turn off the APU and start engine bleed, and also we can turn on the packs, right? Recirculation fan is on auto, isolation valve need to be on auto, and that's it. That's it. Now we can taxi our aircraft, so we are ready. But what we need to do is actually set up our auto brake to RTO, to rejected takeoff. That is for takeoff. You don't have to arm speed brake, you don't have to do it like on Airbus, but you need to set up your brake to RTO for the takeoff. And also what we can do is set up our flaps to 5. That will be 3 clicks, and here you can see the flaps will be in transit until 5, and then it's gonna stop. So what I'm going to do now is let me just show you one thing. Here is our engine gauge, and you can see this this thing is moving. That is me moving the throttle. Okay, that is me moving the throttle. So you can see how much thrust you give in order, and also how much time the engine need to spool up to that speed. So if I set up to, let's say, 3, see how much time actually engines need to get to that power. So that's something you should pay attention. In Boeing you have this thing where you can see how much throttle you actually giving. So yeah, let's just start taxi. So what we're gonna do is release our parking brake, and I'm going to give just a little bit of thrust just to make aircraft moving slowly. You can give a little bit more, and then when you see aircraft is moving, actually what you can do is put the thrust back, because it's going to move on the auto-generated thrust from the engine. Actually it should be enough, unless you have to climb up the hill or something. Anyway, you can actually, if you want taxi faster, you can give a little bit of thrust, but you will gain speed very fast and you don't need that much speed. Actually, the most comfortable taxi is up to 10 knots, but later, if you have a long taxi somewhere in the airport, you can taxi up to 20 knots. There is no problem at all. So what I'm going to do now is just taxi out to the in front of the runway to the holding point, and then I'm going to stop and prepare the aircraft for the runway, for the takeoff, and then we're gonna enter runway. We are going to do a backtrack because we have a long procedure in front of us, and we will need all runway to gain the speed. So I am going to use that piece of runway that is there Otherwise, if we are taking off directly, we can just take off from this intersection, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to perform a backtrack. So what I'm going to do now is to press a brake and stop, and we are going to turn on our landing lights, runaway turn-off lights, to put engine in continuous ignition for the takeoff. That is mandatory, very, very important, to put the engines in the continuous ignition. Now we are going down and we are going to set transponder to TARA, so we can see the traffic, and also as soon as you take off you need to be in that mode. Anyway, now we have TA only because we are not in the air. When we climb in the air we will have TARA. Okay, so now with that said we can taxi further. So I'm gonna release the brake and I'm going to push the throttle a little bit up, just to make aircraft moving, like I said. You can see that flaps is already 5. Airbus and Boeing have a difference, because in Airbus many things you need to do computer doing for you, but in Boeing actually many things you need to do by yourself. And for some of you it may be difficult, for some of you it may be interesting. For me it's very interesting, I love it. I love the fact that I need to do things by myself, like for example setting up ILS frequency and course and certain things. In Airbus it's going to do it for you, but like I said, I like to do it myself. It's more interesting. And also you get a little bit more knowledge about your aircraft when you're doing things by yourself than when everything is computerized. And I don't know, like I said, it's personal preference, but to be honest, I prefer Boeing over Airbus. But this new one, Phoenix, come out. I didn't buy it yet, and I plan to buy that one. I will definitely buy it, just matter of time, and then I'm gonna make tutorial about that one too, of course, because I can see already on YouTube that is amazing aircraft. So what we're gonna do now is line up on the runway, and I will show you one little trick that PMDG implemented here, and it's amazing actually. I have toggle button set up on my joystick. Okay, I have toggle button set up on my joystick, but in case you don't have, you can click here at toggle button. This is toggle buttons that will initiate takeoff on the Boeing. You need to press those buttons to initiate takeoff. This is auto throttle disconnect, and this is toggle buttons, 2 of them. But if you don't have it set up on the joystick, actually you can see when I mouse over this screw here, it changed the cursor. So actually if you click here, it will going to press toggle for you. That is the PMDG thing that they always put in every version of their aircraft. So actually you can have it here. You don't see it, it doesn't bother you, but if you click here you have toggle button. Okay, but I'm not going to use this toggle button, I'm going to use button on my joystick. But let me just tell you how I'm going to do it. So I'm stepping on my brake, and I'm going to advance the throttle to, like, let's say 50%. And when I see the engines are stable and everything, I'm gonna release the parking brake and press Toga button. I press it now, and you can see that here is light up Toga, and we are getting into full thrust. Actually, it won't be a full thrust, it will be the rate that we set up in our FMC, right? 80 knots, okay. V1.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate, and then we rotate. Positive rate. Okay, positive rate. Gear up. We are now following the flight director. Flight director is the magenta line in my navigational display, not in my navigation, in my flight display. So I am following that, and let me just level up a bit and maybe turn on the autopilot. Let's get closer so we can see what we're doing, and also monitor outside to see what is going on. We are going to turn right about now. You can see that we are still flying in the flaps, so we take off and we are turning right into this valley. Down there we're gonna make U-turn and come back. So this is our flight. After you take off, you can click on the landing gear to put it in the off position. We can also turn off the auto brake because we don't need them anymore. And that's practically it. We are flying 165 knots as it is stated by the charts, right? We will not exceed 163 knots, and that means we will not bring the flaps earlier. So we are going to fly with the flaps. And now you can see this blue line. Actually, that is showing my throttle position in relation to the throttle. So now I can move freely my throttle position. It won't do anything because auto throttle is arm and takeover. So I can move my throttle lever on my joystick, and it will move and it will show me what is my position of my throttle in relation to the real setup in the aircraft. And that one is very useful at landing when you need to turn off auto throttle and you need to set up your throttle to match the throttle in the aircraft, which is very cool. Okay, we are already past 10,000 feet. We can switch to standard, and also what we can do is turn off continuous ignition, turn off the lights, right, as usual. Let's go back down. So we are kind of fast already at 10,000 feet, and we're gonna stay at 10,000 feet until we make that teardrop, and then we're gonna climb further. Okay, so I'm going to say on 12,000 feet actually on all of this procedure. So it's beautiful, actually. You can see the scenery is amazing here around Innsbruck. You can see the airport in the far and this valley where we are going actually, and this is some kind of the area where we are going to make our turn. Amazing, right? Yeah, these sceneries in Microsoft Flight Simulator is always amazing. It tells me reset MCP altitude, which means it won't climb, but I won't let it climb until we are back there. I mean, we can technically climb. There is no upper restriction. We have down restriction of 6,000 feet here on the teardrop, but we are already at 11,000 feet, so practically we can put it on 29,000 feet and let it climb. But I actually wanted to give you a little bit of a view right? But let's say 29,000 feet, it won't climb until we press Alt intervention, and now it will going to start climb. So as we started to climb, and when we pass 165 knots limitation, we are going to start releasing the flaps. We can already pull to the flaps 2. Well, sorry, that was wrong button, that was flaps 10. What's wrong with me today? I am in so many mistakes. Long time I didn't record video, that's why. And now we are in the circle. You can see we are of course clear of all mountains around, and no problem, we can make that turn. So we are still in limit of 165 knots until we reach to this waypoint, and after that we don't have any more limitations, so we can accelerate. It's going to accelerate by itself, no problem at all. Of course, the thing I miss actually is smart always to match your heading with the heading that you're flying, but in this situation is super difficult. That's why I didn't bother to do it, because we need to make a teardrop. Later when we go to the straight flight and we fly in the one line, then I'm going to match always the heading of the airplane. In case that your autopilot turned off or die or something happened, you can always have heading already set, and then just quickly press heading select and fly on heading mode, right? So that's it. We will soon pass the let's move to the flaps 1. Flap 1. And then as the speed increasing, you can see when we come here, we can totally bring the flaps up. We can now totally bring the flaps up. It's very interesting procedure that we did perfect. And there is our speed limit of 260. Actually, we can even go further now because we are above 10,000, so we are going to speed up very nice. And that is actually all, starting from cold and dark, takeoff and climb to the cruise altitude. There is nothing much to do until we come to the top of descent, and when we come to the top of descent, then I will show you how to prepare aircraft for the descent and to intercept the ILS. But that is already topic for another video. So thank you very much for watching, and see you soon in this same flight in the next video. Bye!